trying to get somebody to believe what you believe. You want to convince them. Okay? So, my reason about people should be nicer to one another, I'm wanting to write about that so I can convince people to be nicer. Okay, so today I'm going to be giving you guys a couple sheets. They're going to help you when you're doing your drafting. So can I have your eyes up here for a second? So this one is ways to start an essay. Okay? There's lots of different ways that authors may choose to start their essay. These are some different ideas and some different sentence starters you guys could use.
Is there more?
Yeah, oh, there's a few more down there. So these are some of them. You could say, many people don't realize, but I know. Okay, that's where you got to put your thesis in. So I could say, many people don't realize that they should be nice to one another, but I've come to know people should be nice to one another. Or you could say, many people don't realize they should be nice, but I've come to know. Did that say the same thing? But I know, or I've come to know. Many people don't know they should be nice to one another, but I know they should be. Thinking about this one. Have you ever wondered if people should be nice to one another? I have found that people should be nice to one another. This is my introduction, okay? Introduction, Chewy, get back in your spot, is like a synonym for start. So who can help me out with my introduction? What were some of the ways that you practiced this with your partner? Okay, James, what did you guys say?
Many people don't.
Did you say don't know or don't realize or don't think?
Realize.
Okay. Many people don't realize.
People should be nice to one another.
Okay. But
I know people
should be nice to one another. Okay, that's a good one. Maybe I could use that one for my introduction. Jasmine, what did you guys talk about?
I talked about many people don't realize that they're being mean to each other. But I've come to know that everybody should be nice to each other.
Okay, now, Chewy, you can adjust, guys, this any way you want to, but in your introduction, you have to make sure somehow you're getting in your thesis statement. Why do you think it's so important to get your thesis statement in the introduction? Why do we have to have our thesis statement in the intro? Why? Kieran? You're going to be telling them what they're going to be reading all about. This is what you think. Okay? So I'm thinking, anybody else have a different sentence starter they tried? Anyone have a different one? Jimmy, did you try one?
Have you ever wondered how people should be nice to one another?
Okay.
I have found a way for people to be nice to one another.
Oh, I kind of like that one. That's kind of the one I was thinking of. I think I'm going to try that one in my introduction. So I'm going to try, have you ever wondered if it's worth it to be nice to one another? I have found that people should be nice to one another. So I'm going to start with, have you ever wondered, have you, yep, this is the start to my essay. Have you ever wondered, and I'm going to add in there, have you ever wondered if it's worth it to be nice to one another? If it's worth it to be nice to one another. And then what's the next start to my sentence?
I have found.
Okay, oops, I gotta put my question here because I'm wondering. I have found that all people should be nice to one another. I have found that Okay, now, I have to reread my introduction, Lisbeth, so I can make sure that it sounds how I want it to sound, and, Kieran, that it's going to be interesting to my audience. Your eyes need to be up here. So you guys help me read this. Have you ever wondered if it's worth it to be nice to one another? I have found that all people should be nice to one another. Okay, so I used the sentence starter to help. What sentence starter did I use again?
Have you found?
Arturo?
Have you ever
Wondered. Okay, and then I use I have found. Okay, did I put my thesis into my intro?
Yes.
Yeah, my thesis, another example is, this makes me realize, do you have a question? Okay. This is important because, this is giving me the idea that, or this is similar to. These are sentence starters that you can use for your stories. So, yes, Andy? Yeah, you're going to. So this is going to be my reason number 1. Okay? This is my first reason, I know. So if my first reason is,
Reason 1.
it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to a good day. So what sentence starter could I use to start this? If my reason is, it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to a good day. So share with your partner, how can I start my first reason? With my reason, share with somebody so you can help me out. Lisbeth, what did you guys say? Okay, say it nice and loud so we can all hear you. Okay, that's a good one. Did anyone else have another one? Jasmine?
My first reason is that it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to a good day.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with, my first reason is, it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to a good day. So I'm going to use that sentence, my first reason is, and then looking at my plan, it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to
Terrific day.
my first
Joyful,
reason
a beautiful day.
it
Spectacular.
Now I have to think about, how am I going to get my story in there? Because my story is, to go with that reason, I saw Mrs. Pink walking down the hall. She looked sad, so I gave her a nice compliment. That's how I change someone's day from a bad day to a wonderful day. So which one of these, like could I say, for example, or should I say, this is important because this makes me realize. So try this out with your partner. How could I use one of these sentence starters with my story? So try it out with your partner. How could I take one of these sentences and put it with my story? Who has an idea of how I could do that? Giselle, what did you guys talk about? What could I say?
For example, I saw Miss Pink walking down the hall. She looked sad, so I gave her a nice compliment.
Okay, so I could use, for example, let's have the same one. Did anyone have a different way they tried it? A different way? Jorge?
This makes me realize people should be nice to one another.
Like when I... Okay. Now, like Jorge kind of tried to change it up a little bit. Jorge, you did this makes me realize, right?
Yeah.
So you could say, this makes me realize people should be nice to one another because when I saw Mrs. Pink walking down the hallway, she looked sad, I gave her a compliment. So if you use some of these, you just have to make sure that it makes sense with what you're trying to say. So I think I'm going to try the for example one. So Giselle, we said what? So for example, looking over at this one, I wrote, my first reason is it can turn someone's day around from a bad day to a wonderful day. For example, I saw Mrs. Pink walking down the hall. She looked sad, so I gave her a nice compliment to turn her day around. So what were some of the sentence starters that I used to help me write my first reason? Anisha?
You use, for example,
Okay, so I used that one for my what?
for your story.
For my story, so that helped me kind of go into my story. And then what sentence starter did I use to support my reason?
You said the first reason.
Right, I said my first reason is, and then I said for example. So today, sit up Stephen, when you guys are drafting, you are going to be trying to use some of these sentence starters to help with your reasons and your stories. And I'm going to give you the sentence starters to help with your introduction, okay? You have to make sure that they make sense with your story. So practice saying it to yourself. Say it to your partner, but make sure that it makes sense, that it sounds right. Yes?